51st verse that I read. Do you think I came to bring peace on earth? No, I tell you, but division. I do have to say that reading through here, there's a couple of passages that just kind of chuckle. You see the clouds rising in the west, immediately say it's going to rain. How many times have we said that this summer? The passage, families divided against each other, mother-in-law against daughter-in-law, that explains a lot, doesn't it? Of course, those are all stereotypes. I'm glad to say that, fortunately, my in-laws and I don't have that relationship. I say that as they're due back in town today. So, tell them I love them. But seriously, the passage where he says, do you think I came to bring peace? No, I did not. But rather division. I titled the message this morning, Toleration Does Not Equal Love. That's been a theme that you've heard from me, over the past few years. But it's something that really kind of struck me this week on a number of levels. I was driving down the road, I guess it was Wednesday, and not a new bumper sticker, and I'm sure you've seen it, all on the back of somebody's car. There's that bumper sticker that says coexist. And it's spelled out in all the different religious symbols. Coexist. And I got thinking to myself, okay, there is a need that we need to live together. We need to be able to tolerate each other in our beliefs, our ways of thinking, our differences. And then I read this passage. If we coexist, we live in peace. If we coexist, living in peace, do we live in accordance to what Jesus taught? And so I started reflecting on that. And I started looking at what Jesus did. And this was a man who did not tolerate anything. If you look through the scriptures, look through what he did, this was not a man for toleration. He didn't just take what the Pharisees said, he challenged each and every item. Well, if we're to coexist, doesn't it make sense then that we work in conjunction with everyone else? So all the tax collectors in the temple, that's okay. After all, it is God's house. We're supposed to tolerate each other. And so, but what did Christ do? Christ came in and he flipped the tables and said, no, this is not right. Even from the very beginning. Christ calls his disciples. And they're sitting mending nets or tending to a table. And a couple of them said, Jesus comes up and says, I want you to follow me. He says, okay, Lord, but let me finish what I'm doing. He says, no. I want you to follow me now. Because what you're doing is not important in the greater scheme of life. And so I look at this coexist bumper sticker. I can't help but think to myself that if I am open to accepting everything, I accept nothing. because Christ calls me to live at a different level. And so what I want to talk about this morning is a little bit about following Jesus as he lays it out, and how that applies to us today. Jesus calls not for Christians. He does not call for people to be Christians. He calls for disciples, for followers, for people to leave their life as they know it and to follow him. How do we leave our lives? I still have to pay my bills. I still have to take care of my kids. So I'm supposed to drop everything and follow Christ. And that's where Jesus comes in and he says, there will be division amongst the families. Because there will be people in the families who say, I need to follow Christ. I need to do what God is calling me to do, and I need to live my life in that manner to the fullest. And there are others in the family who say, yeah, that you have kids to take care of. You need to put a house over your head. And the two are not inseparable. When we follow Christ, we put our total and whole faith into Christ and say, this is what I'm called to do. I am called to go out and share the good news. I am called to go out and to the nations of the world, baptizing in the name of Christ. I am to share that light that beams within me from the love, from the mercy, from the grace that is given from God. Out into the world to let Christ be known. I am to be a voice. I am to be a beacon. I am to be a gong. But we're not comfortable with that. How many of you are comfortable with being a gong? We're not comfortable being loud. We're not comfortable expressing ourselves when it comes to our faith. We're not comfortable with standing up when challenged. Or very few of us are. And I'm guilty of it as well. I will be the first to admit it. To stand up and to be controversial for my faith? It's easy to do up here. In the supermarket? With a friend? Walking down the street? With a stranger? It's hard to stand up for what we believe in. It's easy when we're in the privacy of our bedroom and we're praying or we're reading our scriptures. But it's hard when we're called to do it in public. But toleration does not equal love. And so if we tolerate, from a Christian standpoint, just staying in the shadows, we're no better off than a disobedient child. I got a call from a father this week. He called me and said, Pastor, I need to talk to you. I've got some serious issues going on at home and I don't know how to handle it. You see, my son did something that could jeopardize his life this week. And although he's safe, and And although no damage came from it, the decisions that he made were not wise. The decisions and actions that he took could be detrimental to him and to others. And I don't know what to do. So I asked him, he said, "What have you done?" So shy of grounding him within the day of his death, I don't know what else to do. He was involved with this activity, and I took that activity away from him. It was something that he really enjoyed doing. But the only thing I could figure to discipline, to make a difference, is to take it away. So it sounds like he made a good decision. You see, he did not tolerate his son's actions, his son's decisions. And so, out of love, because he did not tolerate it, he took them away. He took that gift away. You see, as Christians, we are called to follow Christ. That doesn't mean just showing up in church for an hour a week. It means living in the light, following the path that Christ has given us. To stand up and share the good news that God has given to us through Christ. That's what it means to be a Christian. Living a good life, you don't have to be a Christian for that. Any good moral person lives a good life. Somebody with solid ethics, well, I know it's not right to kill somebody. I know it's not right to steal or to lie. I honor my mother and father. Don't always follow what they say, but I honor them. I don't covet my neighbor's stuff. I'm faithful to my wife, my spouse. See, I'm a good person. I should go to heaven for that. But you're missing the first 4 commandments. To love God. To worship God. To keep His Sabbath holy. Sabbath does not necessarily mean Sunday. It means taking a day set aside to honor and worship God. A day to rest. That's why I try to take one day during the week to unwind and relax. That's my Sabbath. Many of you take the Lord's Day on Sunday as your day for family. And that is good. That's what we are called to do. But if we don't live into the teachings, following the laws and the teachings of Christ, we're just a good person. Is God to tolerate that? The Bible is very clear. It's not the deeds we do. It's the sheep we clothe. It's the sheep we feed. It's those in prison that we visit. That's what we're called to do. We're called to take care of those who can't take care of themselves. As Christ did the same. Performing miracles. Feeding thousands. Teaching. The disciples carried that path, that direction forward, and went throughout the world to share those teachings. to express the love. They did not tolerate, the disciples did not tolerate what was expected of them. Case in point, only one of the disciples died of old age. Every other disciple was executed. There's a cost. The reason, in my opinion, that we face so much noise against Christianity and our beliefs today is because we have become passive. Very rarely do people come to us directly and challenge us on our faith. They do it through legal means. Because they know that Christians aren't going to stand up. Because Christians are loving people. Christians are peaceful people. And so they push, and they push, and they prod, and they nag for those who will listen. They twist. They twist the law so that it reads as they want it to be heard. And we sit quietly in our pews and maybe look at our neighbor and say, well, this isn't right. They can't do this. Toleration is not equal love. If we are to love our neighbors, as we say that we do, then we must be a gong. My goal for this year is to be more of a gong in the community. You know I get loud here. But I am just as much at fault that once I get outside of these walls, I am not that gong, but rather I am a church mouse. With my friends, I'll talk about my faith, but I don't preach. They don't want to hear me preach. So maybe I just need to give them a little meditation now and then. My challenge to you is to practice being that gong, and even if it's just a hand gong, to make some noise, to let it be heard. Let's not stand for peace, but let's create some division. Just as Christ came into this world, let's create some division. Let it be heard that we're not going to tolerate the status quo of our culture anymore. But rather, we're going to create some waves. We're going to be heard. We're going to let Christ be heard through our families, our household, our workplace, our schools, every place that won't allow it anymore. It needs to be heard. It is time for us to put away with the coexist. Put away with the peace. And it's time for us to stand up. For toleration does not equal love. Let us love. To God be the glory.